Raja Yoga by Swami Vivekananda. This chitta is always trying to get back to its natural pure state, but the organs draw it out. To restrain it and to check this outward tendency and to start it on the return journey to that essence of intelligence is the first step in yoga, because only in this way can the chitta get into its proper course. Although this chitta is in every animal, from the lowest to the highest, it is only in the human form that we find intellect, and until the mind stuff can take the form of intellect, it is not possible for it to return through all these steps and liberate the soul. Immediate salvation is impossible for the cow and the dog, although they have mind, because the chitta cannot as yet take that form which we call intellect. Chitta manifests itself in all these different forms: scattering, darkening, weakening, and concentrating. These are the four states in which the mind stuff manifests itself. First, a scattered form is activity. Its tendency is to manifest in the form of pleasure or pain. First, a scattered form of a form is activity. Its tendency is to manifest in the form of pleasure or pain. Then the dull form is darkness, the only tendency of which is to injure others. The commentary says the first form is natural to the devas, the angels, and the second is the demonical form. The ekagra, the concentrated form, the chitta, is what brings us to samadhi. At that time, the time of concentration, the seer, the purusha, rests in his own unmodified state. As soon as the waves have stopped and the lake has become quiet, we see the ground below the lake. So, with the mind, when it is calm, we see what our own nature is. We do not mix ourselves, but remain our own selves. At other times, other than that of concentration, the seer is satisfied with the modifications. For instance, I am in a state of sorrow, someone blames me. This is a modification, vritti, and I identify myself with it, and the result is misery. There are 5 classes of modification: painful and not painful. There are right knowledge. These are right knowledge, indiscrimination, verbal delusion, sleep and memory. Direct perception, inference, and competent evidence are proofs. When two of our perceptions do not contradict each other, we call it proof. I hear something, and if it contradicts something already perceived, I begin to fight it out and do not believe it. There are also 3 kinds of proof: direct perception, pratyaksham, whatever we see and feel is proof. If there has been nothing to do with the senses, I see the world, there is sufficient proof that it exists. Secondly, anumana, inference. You see a sign and from the sign you come to the thing signified. Third, aptavakyam, the direct position of the yogi, of those who have seen the truth. We are all of us struggling towards knowledge, but you and I have to struggle hard and come to knowledge through a long, tedious process of reasoning. But the yogi, the pure one, has gone beyond all this. Before his mind, the past, the present, the future are alike one book for him to read. He does not require to go through all these tedious processes, and his words are proofs because he sees knowledge in himself. He is the omniscient one. These, for instance, are the authors of the sacred scriptures. The scriptures are proof, and if any such persons are living now, their words will be proof. Other philosophers go into long discussions about this apta, and they say, what is the proof that this is truth? The proof is because they see it. Because whatever I see is proof, and whatever you see is proof. If it does not contradict any past knowledge, there is not knowledge beyond the senses, and whenever it does not contradict reason and past human experience, that knowledge is proof. Any madman may come into this room and say that he sees angels around him. That would not be proof. In the first place, it must be true knowledge, and secondly, it must not contradict knowledge of the past, and thirdly, it must depend on the character of the man. I hear it said that the character of the man is not of so much importance as what he may say. We must first hear what he says. This may be true in other things. A man may be wicked and yet make an astronomical discovery, but in religion it is different. Because no impure man will ever have the power to reach the truths of religion. Therefore, we have first of all to see that the man who declares himself to be an apta is a perfectly unselfish and holy person. Secondly, that he has reached beyond the senses. And thirdly, that what he says does not contradict the past knowledge of humanity. Any new discovered truth does not contradict the past truth but fits into it. And fourthly, the truth must have a possibility of verification. If a man says, I have seen a vision, and tells me that I have no right to see it, I believe him not. Everyone must have the power to see it for himself. No one who sells his knowledge is an apta. All these contradictions must be fulfilled. You must first see that the man is pure and that he has no selfish motive and he has no thirst for gain or fame. Secondly, he must show that he is super conscious. Thirdly, he must give us something that we cannot get from our senses and which is for benefit of the world, and we must see that it does not contradict each other truths. If it contradicts other scientific truths, reject it at once. Fourthly, the man should never be singular. He should only represent what all men can attain. The three sorts of proof are then direct sense, perception, inference, the words of an apta. I cannot translate this word into English. It is not the word inspired because the word comes from outside while this comes from himself. The literal meaning is attained. Indiscrimination is false knowledge, not established in real nature. The next class of vrittis that arises mistaking the one thing for another, as a piece of mother of pearl is taken for a piece of silver. Verbal deduction follows from words having no corresponding reality. There is another class of vrittis called vikalpa. A word is uttered and we do not wait to consider its meaning, we jump to a conclusion immediately. It is a sign of weakness of the chitta. Now you can understand the theory of restraint. The weaker the man, the lesser he has of restraint. Consider yourselves always in that way when you are going to be angry, miserable, reason it out, and how it is that some news that has come to you is throwing your mind at vrittis. If this is a vritti which embraces the feeling of voidness. The next class of vritti is called sleep and dream. When we awake, we know that we have been sleeping. We only have a memory of perception. That which we do not perceive, we never can have any memory of. Every reaction is a wave in the lake. Now, if during sleep the mind has no waves, it would have no perception, positive or negative, and therefore he would not remember them. The reason for remembering sleep is that during sleep there was a certain class of waves in the mind. Memory is another class of vrittis which is called smriti.